was the highlights of the week we have spent together. I hope you have enjoyed it. We will share it with you. But again, now, this afternoon, we will slowly start in the last part of this journey we went through this week together. And we want to really take a moment to look at what are we learning here. And more importantly, how are you going to bring this back to your regions, to your context, and what are we going to do about it together as a community of practice over the coming months. So this is what this afternoon will be about, helping us to bring our thoughts together and leave also with a key message, a key learning, and a key steps for all of us to take. And before we move into this, I would like to actually introduce Michael Moller. Michael Moller, you have a very impressive career as an international diplomat. You've dedicated your career to building bridges, preventing conflict, maintaining a space for dialogue. Also, when you served as the Undersecretary General to the UN, you did have many, many fights, to name only a few. You were really trying to bring the international community around the SDGs, around also gender equality and how we can champion that. And these last few years, you've been also really bringing your expertise, your time to forward-looking initiative. Amongst others, you're part of GESDA, looking really at science and diplomacy, but you're also a precious member of the CCHN board, for which I would like to thank you. And as this Summit 2024 is about negotiating for the future, I would like to invite you, what is the message for us here as a community of practice when we think about the future? So please, let's welcome Michael Moller.
Thank you. Thank you, Joël, for your generous introduction, and hello, everyone. I'm going to be quite short, but I thought I'd put a few things in the back of your brain as you start thinking about the future again, and as you go home and look at and think about what the future is going to bring you in your work and in your daily life. And one of the things that always strikes me when I sit in quite a few conversations about the future, whether it's future of technology or future of governance or democracy, etc., is that you can sit in a room with some of the most intelligent people on the planet discussing an issue, and somehow, invariably, within a minute of that discussion, you're talking about the present. And if you allow another minute to go by, you usually dump into the past. And that's not even a criticism, it's just the way we are built, we humans. You know, we are concerned with what happens in our daily lives, with our work, with what you have to deliver, with the kids at school, the grandmother who's sick, etc. It's really hard for most people, off the bat, to enter into the box that says future without bringing with them the framework of the present or the past, but particularly of the present. All your biases, all your thoughts, all your acquired certainties become part of what you think that the future should be. And believe me, it's not. If you bring that box with you or that framework, when you start talking about the future, you're not going to be hitting the mark. The trick is to figure out how to step out of that and think creatively and really think outside of the box, and particularly if you want to be part of the creation of that future, which all of us are trying to do. And that is nowhere more important and true than when you look at new technologies. The new technologies that are coming at us at warp speed are going to change our lives in ways that most of us can't even fathom right now. Forget about artificial intelligence as we know it today. Start thinking about general artificial intelligence that begins to learn on its own. And when you start thinking about that combined with quantum technology and quantum computers, and you add to that what's happening in the neurosciences and human engineering and geoengineering, it becomes both fascinating and quite scary. What is true is that none of us really are ready for what is coming, and for what is coming really fast. And when I say really fast, it's within the next 5-10 years. You will already now we're feeling it, and we're seeing the very rapid movement of these new technologies. The problem with them today is that there is not really any adult supervision in how they're produced, how they're disseminated. There's not much concern about ethics. There are no governance structures in place that will take care of some of these problems, and there is no attention to equity. Equity meaning that the benefits, of which there are many, of these technologies should not just go to a bunch of white guys in Silicon Valley, but should really be the property of everybody on this planet. So here, that applies when you prepare yourself for what is coming, and you should, when you prepare your colleagues for what is coming, and try to be part of an educational process that will allow you to adapt to these technologies much faster and much better than we are currently equipped to. You need to really step out of the box and do a little homework, do a little reading about what's coming. One of the documents that I can refer to, Joel mentioned that I work with something called GESDA. It's a foundation here in Geneva that is an acronym for the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator, whose job it is to look at the science that's coming over the next 5, 10, 25 years. And we come out with a document every year that you can find online. It's called the radar.gesda.global. It's written by the scientists themselves. The latest version that came out last October is about a few more than 1,000 scientists that have been participating in it. And it's a fascinating account and list of all the technologies that are coming and how they're going to evolve and what kind of impact they're going on our lives. I suggest you do not read it before you go to sleep at night. It's a little too scary, some of it. Now, the other issue that I think is important also in your work is the fact that we are now in a very deep governance transition at all levels of our societies, whether it's international all the way down to the local, through which we are in the process of trying to figure out how we will create a new kind of multilateral structure that is much more integrated, much more collaborative, much more de-siloed, much more preventive. It's coming, but it's also one that demands a level of interaction and collaboration between all of us, again, at all levels of our lives, like we've never, ever had before. Unless we find ways to collaborate and to work together like we've never done before, we're not going to make it. And when I say we, I mean humanity. And I may be sort of exaggerating, but I don't think so. I think we really have to find this collaborative gene in ourselves and make it grow, and we need to do it fast. It's happening to a much larger extent than many other places here in Geneva, between the different international organizations. To a large extent because we got the SDGs as a global roadmap, and this is the operational hub of the international system where the practicalities of implementing these SDGs are primordial for all these organizations. So you're seeing a level of collaboration and integration of actions that we haven't seen before, and it's growing every day. And it's growing because people have finally realized, after decades, that working together is much more impactful and gives much better results, both at the individual and at the collective level, than if you don't. So also for something for you to take back home. And by the way, just to finish, we're all in this very fragmented world and difficult world that we live in. We're all a little pissed off at our authorities. We don't like what they say, we don't like what they do, or rather what they don't do. And that goes also the way down the line. It can be true for the organizations that you work for or that you work with, that they don't take care of you, that they don't pay attention to your needs, that they don't pay attention to your professional needs, etc. And that may be true for some of you here, although I imagine that all of you are incredibly enthusiastic about working for CCHN. But the fact is that it comes back to what I was saying before. You have a responsibility to figure out ways of overcoming these handicaps. And the only way of doing so is to working together, not just amongst your colleagues in the same organization you work in, but also other organizations that are in the area where you work. And put aside the little flag and the little identity tag that your organization and you have in that context. Put that in a waste paper basket and start looking at your co-workers and at your partners in a very different way, because I guarantee you that they will improve your own impact if you really get into a close collaboration with them. So just a few ideas. I hope that you're taking a lot of good things back with you. I know that you are an organization that has really a very difficult job. I follow what you do since the very beginning, and I'm full of awe of the things that you're doing, that you continue to do. So good luck with that, and Godspeed home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your wisdom and for reminding us the importance of working together. And now I would like to give the floor to Hugo. I think by now everybody has met and know who Hugo is. He gave his time, but even more important, his precious skills of listening to us for the last 2 days. And so he has the most difficult job, is now trying to give us an overview a bit of what has been discussed the last 2 days. Of course, you couldn't be in all the sessions as one person, but we are very much looking forward to that. And of course, now I invite everybody to open your ears and focus and listen to him. He will provide us this overview of our conversation. So warm welcome to Hugo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joël, and thank you for the great honor of being your key listener these last couple of days. And it's been a great honor for me and a great risk for you, because, of course, you've asked a man to listen. And when I was growing up and feminism was all beginning, there was a wonderful woman called Deborah Tannen who did a big analysis of the different ways that men and women listen to each other and talk and converse, negotiate, in fact. And she ended up by defining male listening, men's listening, as waiting to talk. So I promise I haven't been doing that. I have really been trying to listen. And so this is what I want to say to you, really. I mean, I've been listening and observing because, of course, I often talk about full body listening. You don't just listen with these. You listen with here and here and here, and you're listening and feeling what people give off as well as give out. So I've been trying to do that as well. So I'm just going to talk about 5 general things. I'm going to try and put this here as well. The first thing is you. I want to talk about you, because it's been really lovely spending these last couple of days in a group with you all. I've found you as individuals and as a group very open, very positive, very curious and determined to learn and change and meet each other. And of course, looking at you all and meeting you all, it's very clear to me that you are very different from each other and the same. And of course, that's the truth of our word humanity. And it's true for the humanity in this room. There's wonderful differences. And the way I see those differences are in clothes and color and nationality. And it's wonderful, particularly wonderful, to see so much, other national dress here. I really like it. For a start, in the West, dress sense is really going downhill, especially after COVID. Everyone's so informal, it's dreadful, for me. So I really like it when people from Africa, Asia, Afghanistan, everyone turns up, looking good, wearing your own thing. And please keep doing it. Please keep doing it whenever you come to Geneva, to the West, to London, to Oxford. It's really important that we symbolize our difference and our sameness. So that was great. The other thing, in our business, we talk about local and international staff. And that's been a sort of theme in this room and in the other rooms. There's local staff and there's international staff and that sort of thing. But the great thing is, of course, all of you from Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, the best dressers, all of you have been international staff this week, and we've been tolerating these local Swiss and these local Genevans and these local British and these local Europeans. So, don't get too into that distinction. Be yourselves. And you have been yourselves, which is great. Also, the other thing about you that strikes me, as I said before, you do feel like a community to me. I mean, I think CCHN has done a great job in enabling you to be a community. And please do that for the next 10 years as well. Be an international community, a global community of your profession. I want to talk also a little about purpose, because listening to you, I sort of heard various things which I think you understand as your common purpose as humanitarian negotiators. I mean, the first one is to represent. I do feel Peter Maurer used the word mirror early on the first day. You want to go to people and mirror and represent the experience of people in war and disaster. And that often means, therefore, you're representing people's suffering or their risks and their experience. And that's a great purpose to have. And of course, I want you to represent nature as well, much more, as I said in my session. And what your other purpose is to really represent humanity, this idea that's so important in Geneva and the world, that human life is the same, it's equally important, and we need to preserve it and respect it. And that is your purpose too, to represent that moral case, that ethical case. And then, of course, part of that is fairness, impartiality, and that we must represent a sense of fairness and not double standards. We've had that phrase coming up, double standards at national level, at international level. Fairness, so that everyone is treated fairly for their humanity. I've also heard you talk a lot about your sort of strategic operational purpose of access, really struggling to not just represent people, but get to people because you've represented them. And I also think I've heard you really a lot talking about one of your main purposes is to pioneer and create a new field, a new profession of humanitarian negotiation. You want to create an identity, a professional role in the world of humanitarian negotiation. And therefore, and this was a word on the graphics and things, you want recognition for that. So one of your main purposes is to get recognition for the practice, the importance of humanitarian negotiation in the middle of human violence, climate change, disaster, etc. So those are all great purposes to me, and I wish you luck in the next 10 years as you try to achieve them. And just one word of advice on the latter, on trying to get recognition. In this world, do it with modesty. Don't go out there and say, we're humanitarian negotiators. People are going to hit you hard if you do that, because the world is, as we've discovered, in a moment of contest, and a lot of you represent Western organizations, and if you go out like this as a Western organization, so you're going to get hit quite hard, as you know. So find a way to achieve recognition modestly, and learn from your peace brothers and sisters. Very often, the peace community is quiet, it's discreet, it's modest, and people are prepared to wave it through in different ways. So your purpose is a good one, and I wish you luck. A lot of discussion has been about your method, your methodology. In a way, a lot of that methodology, although you have this huge Bible, the Naivasha thing and the great CCHN Bible, which gives you method, when you're operating, it's really more of an art. And I think method and art are important. It's more an art when you're trying to negotiate. And of course, I've heard you talk really well about the interpersonal dimension of that art. Individual encounters, what we call face-to-face. And of course, that's so important, and it's the heart of your work. And in a way, very often, the best place to do that is in closed and quiet settings. And I think you should never be afraid of being confidential in your work. This was something that came out very strongly from the sort of high-level lunch that was hosted with ambassadors and others. Embrace confidentiality, modesty, discretion, and meet face-to-face in those ways. The challenge you have is social media. I've heard many of you say that. Many of the ambassadors said it too in the lunch. You know, that virtual interpersonal interaction. But one of the strong messages that came out of the ambassadors' lunch, and I felt it in this room and other rooms too, is aim to have conversations, not to give statements. And I think always work methodologically to establish conversations which respect the other as a subject and not an object of your talk, but a subject, equal subject in your conversation. And the formal and the informal have been very important too. There's been a lot of talk about formal diplomacy and informal corridors and the way you meet and befriend people in your negotiations. That's really important too. And I think valuing informal diplomacy is really important, and getting your bosses and your senior organization people to value informal as well. It's easy to quantify formal statements, you know, tweets, whatever, but get them to value the informal negotiations, the informal channels that are often so creative. The other thing that's so important, I haven't heard you use this phrase, and I don't know if it's in the big textbook, but you know, when I was doing conflict resolution and peace building and things, we used to talk about the POVO. Do you talk about POVO? The point of view of the other. Because one of the most important things in understanding somebody else is to, you know, it means stepping around, see where they stand, what's behind them, what's in their head, the point of view of the other person. That's the first thing, and that's why we listen, of course. That's what we have to understand. The POVO is a really important sweet spot in negotiation. And people need to understand our POVO, and we have to share it if we're negotiating honestly in a conversation. Emotions. Negotiations is not all rational. You know that. A lot of it's emotional. You have emotions, the other people have emotions. There are terrible emotions around the conflict. There are massive emotions on social media that generate emotions about the conflict. You have to be open to emotions. You have to use them when you can, and realize that a lot of negotiation is emotional as well. And it's ethical. We've had so many conversations about ethics, and Michael's just mentioned the word again. We've talked a lot about ethicals and dilemmas and all these things. I hear you talking really well about ethics. I'm an ethicist by accident, really, not training. But the way you talk about it, the way you think it through, is really impressive to me. And compromise is another word that comes with ethics, and it's a good word. Please never think a compromise is a bad thing. A compromise is a good thing. It's usually what we have. Usually it's really the most we can have. So don't be afraid of compromise. Be glad when you get one. And let your conscience, and the word conscience is one we had in the panel as well. I like it. I'm a Catholic. I like the word conscience. I have a terrible conscience. Use your conscience to tell you if it's a good compromise or not. And if it's a really bad compromise, then walk away from it. Or if you have to have it, feel bad about it and realize that, you know, it's not ideal. So be honest with your conscience. And I think the other thing is about method is organizations. One of the strong things that's come out has also been you can't work on your own as individual negotiators. You need your organization to be in favor of what you do. You need your organization to recognize and support what you do. As Ed said yesterday, you need senior management to own the fact that you're negotiating. And as Alain said, we need negotiating organizations. We need organizations that have a culture of negotiating, so they support you and they understand what you're doing. They reward you when you're doing well, and they support you when it's really hard, and they don't walk away and deny you. So that's important too. And organizations have a conscience. It's really important organizations develop conscience. We can have, as human beings, collective conscience. You know, we can all feel bad about something or feel good about it. Make sure your organization has a conscience and is not pretending it can go through life just raising money, doing operations, whatever. So you're part of that organizational conscience and encourage it. Collaboration is another C word. Michael's just spoken well about it. It's come up the whole week as well. Collaboration between humanitarian negotiators and humanitarian diplomats. Collaboration between organizations is very important. And remember, when you're trying to agitate Western diplomats and other diplomats to help you, they're having a bad time too. We've discussed the world is changing. Quite rightly, major powers, major civilizations like China, India, large parts of Southeast Asia, middle powers, Indonesia, Mexico, wonderful countries, wonderful civilizations, are back where they should be, in a world of all civilizations, all cultures. So the West is quite rightly getting slapped. I'm an academic at Oxford, and twice in the last year, I've had governments write to me, Asian governments and Central Asian governments, about things I've written saying, change that. We want you to change that. We're not having it. Okay? So the West's not what it was, and it has to play a different game, and that's good, because we want a big new world where everybody is represented. And it's not the world of the West. Why should it be? The next thing I want to talk about is discourse. And I'm just going to choose a few words I hear you say a lot, and it's kind of your jargon. Engage. You often say, I'm going to engage with these people. I'm going to engage. We need to get engagement. And I'm going, oh, in England, that means you're going to get married. You know, I don't know. What do they mean, engage? You know, and of course you mean meet. You're going to meet them. Humans meet each other all the time. You know, don't make it some big thing about engagement, something, you know, militaries engage in war. You're going to meet them. You need to meet them. You need to get face to face with them. You need to know who they are. They need to know who you are. So be wary of some of these big words, which are usually Latin, and choose a nice little Anglo-Saxon German one, like meet. Yeah? It's cheaper as well in texts. Assertive. I hear you saying often that there are assertive states. This has been going on for about 10, 15 years now, since the West began to lose the world. Now, that's not quite fair, is it? They're probably not assertive. They're just being states, and they're being governments in their territory, or they're being authoritarian, which is the culture of their politics at the moment. I don't think you should sort of disparage it and say, I can't believe it. Someone's standing up to me. Someone's being assertive. That's absolutely outrageous. It's not. And I can tell you from the other side, the West is pretty assertive sometimes and bossy. So I would sort of tend to let go of that word and just say they're being states, they're being powerful, they're being powerful back to us. So what does that mean? What does that mean for our negotiation? Frontline, this is a core word for you. It's really important to you. It's a great word because it's real. It's where people suffer. It's where the war is worst. And that's really important. But please don't get stereotyped and stuck as frontline negotiators. Because one of the things you've been talking about all week is that you need to go up and down this chain of humanitarian negotiation, region, global, humanitarian diplomacy, up and down it like a ladder. Many of you are quite capable of being bi. You know, you can be bicultural. You can do frontline and high level, and regional. You can wear your boots on the front line and engage, and you can put your suit on and go and do diplomacy. So don't get stereotyped and locked into particular places by your identifying label. And then the last word you use a lot is trust. And it's so important, isn't it? There's so many different types of trust. I think what you mean is bond. There comes a time sometimes when we can bond with people, we feel a social bond. That's really good if you can get there. But remember, your organizations might not have bonded, and they may both let you down. Trust can be a little overrated. We often work quite well with people we're never going to trust. Okay? If you're British, like I am, nobody trusts you. It's quite extraordinary. You know, you go to Iran or you go to Ethiopia. Ethiopia actually have a phrase which is "Betam Inglis nu," which means he's very English. Never trust him. You know, he's very crooked. So, you know, we get by. People know who we are. They'll never really trust us. And because they're not entirely trusting of us, they'll work quite well with us, actually. So don't overblow trust. And also don't necessarily talk about building trust. In Oxford these days, there's a scholar who talks more about earning trust. It's like money. You have to earn it to make it capital. You have to save it up. You can lose it, but then earn it again, etc. So trust is important. And then finally, because I must shut up, the future, just a few things. For your next 10 years, go beyond the West. Many of you are from beyond the West. Work this your way. Meet your governments, meet other people, get out, invite the Chinese and the Indian ambassadors next time. Let them understand your profession. They probably don't want to create it. They probably don't want lots of you in their country. But if they're prepared to respect you as a form of international practice, that's good. Go beyond the human to nature. Include nature in your conversations. Represent nature at the table. That's going to be important. Don't idealize the past. Very often I hear, I'm quite old now, very often I hear people say, oh, you know, these days it's the worst of all possible times. It's really not. I mean, the past was dreadful. You know, I never got access in Ethiopia. I was there for 2 years. I was constantly being pushed back and whatever. Ethiopians are always going to be like that. They're brilliant people, powerful people. So it wasn't great before. It's not particularly worse today. It's different and it's exciting because the world is changing. So don't get frightened by the past and pretend you're in the worst period. Take the initiative in your organizations. Don't wait for the organizations to say, we're going to be a negotiator organization. Do it, make it happen. And then finally, you know, listening to you, we don't have to be optimists. We don't have to be overly hopeful, but we must be possibilists. And I think you should embrace, and you embody as a group, possibilism. So work hard on what's possible, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Hugo. Thank you for also challenging us. Thank you. I think you've done an amazing job listening to us those last 2 days. Thank you very much. So now we will come back to what are we learning and how are we bringing this back to our region, right? So now it's back to you, back to your region, back to your context, back to your role as a frontline negotiators. And to do so, we felt the best way is to give you an opportunity now to split into regions. All this week we've been thinking together as a global community, but now that you're about to fly back tomorrow, how are you bringing this back in your region you're working in? So that's what we're proposing. It's really first a moment where you will reflect personally, what did I learn, and now what do we do together as a group in a specific region, okay? And then we will come back in plenary to listen briefly to 2-3 points from each region to give ideas on how we bring this forward together. So to do so, we will go into 5 groups. We've split into 5 groups. I'm very much aware that some of you here might work at the global level. Feel free to pick the one that is for you today the most relevant, or join Europe. That's totally fine. It's very much up to you. And so we'll have, of course, one colleague from the CCHN with you to facilitate the conversation while you will move to those groups. So Africa will take place here with Patrick. Patrick, if you can just stand up so everybody sees you and know they will be with you. Yes, Patrick. Patrick, here, Africa, you stay in this room and you will have 1 hour together. Then Asia, opposite S12. Please stand up, Hala. You will be accompanying the group. So Hala will be waiting for you just in front of this room, and then walk with the group up to S12 that I hope you know by now is on the first floor. Then we will have Latin America S4, Marcia. If you can, you are here in the back. Marcia will be waiting in front of this main hall to bring you to S4, which is also on the first floor. And then we have MENA, Middle East, S12, Taher. Voila, you also will be waiting for you. They are motivated, they are motivated. And then Europe, A4, the auditorium just next door. Stephanie here will also be waiting for you in front of this room to bring you there. Okay, so this is the moment. We go in the regions. We have 1 hour, so that means we are back at 3:15. Thank you very much. Enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining Africa. And so now what we would like to do is to see how you perceive those 2 days of the summit. So we would like to take a few minutes first to think about from your own perspective, what was the highlight of the summit? What was the most interesting for you? Take a few days. Take a few. It's on the recording. So take a few minutes to reflect by yourself what you think was the highlight for you. And then at the end, after, you try to reflect as a group what was the highlight as a group, as a region for Africa. And then we will identify 3 highlights and 3 things that we have learned as a region. Okay? As a region, 3 things that we have learned and that we want to share back to the rest of the other region. And most importantly, we take a picture of on the stage, okay? All right. So, am I clear? Yeah. So the objective is this one. So after that, we can go together. And after that, as a group, you say what have you got from this summit? As a group, we try to agree on that. Then second step, what can we do in the region to improve as a CCHN network? What can we do individually, collectively, and then after that, we will give 3 recommendations to CCHN to say, okay, in Africa, we would like to do this as a priority. Also, Martin and Alicia, you are from Sudan. You are Africa too. Let's take 5 minutes first by yourself. When you're ready, you can talk with your neighbor, your enemy, your brother. Oh là là, c'est vrai, quelle photo de vous. Ah oui, non, cette forme, vous étiez, oui, vous êtes en pleine forme aujourd'hui. Donc, cette forme, c'est possible, aujourd'hui, vous êtes vraiment. Vous allez le voir, vous vivez vraiment, vous connaissez bien votre métier, mais c'est difficile. Vous savez qu'est-ce que jamais vous faites jamais jamais, vous êtes toujours.
Okay, now let's do open mic sharing. That means whoever wants to share what they have learned over the past 4 days, you can share. You are taking us. Yes, Mariama? Come here, Mariama. Tu peux venir. Ici, tu vas pas dire pourquoi.
Alors, il faut dire que de manière générale, déjà, pour les 2 premiers jours des communautés,
on this past two Thursdays of the community,
j'ai beaucoup apprécié les outils qui ont été utilisés.
I really appreciated the tools
Avec l'IA, qui nous a permis d'avoir un résumé rapide de tout ce qui a été dit.
with AI to allow us to summarize quickly what we have learned.
Mais surtout de savoir où on est, où est-ce qu'on veut aller et comment on y va.
And specifically about like where we are at, where we want to be, and how to reach this.
Et je pense que cet ensemble, j'espère que cet ensemble va permettre peut-être dans le cas des 10 ans avec CCHF, de voir comment est-ce qu'on oriente nos besoins pour pouvoir avancer dans la négociation de long terme.
And I hope for the next 10 years, in about 10 years from now, we will see the progress of this and where we be as how humanitarian negotiation is after that.
Alors, pour les 2 jours de sommet, je voulais déjà dire bravo pour le maestria dans l'organisation, que je dirais presque parfait. Vraiment, qui a été très bien fait avec tout ce monde, c'était vraiment bien. Une dynamique, une cohérence, une cohésion, vraiment, c'était bien organisé.
For the two summit days, working days, I would like to congratulate the organizers for their efforts on technical support and the rest.
Alors, je vais la présenter un peu sur les sessions.
About
a fait beaucoup de sessions
There were a lot of sessions
avec assez de thématiques très intéressantes,
with a lot of very rich benefits,
mais qui nous mettaient un peu dans l'embarras.
but we were a little bit frustrated
Parce que les thématiques étaient intéressantes, la telle enseigne que, on avait du mal à choisir.
so it was difficult for me to choose, so they were all interesting.
Deuxièmement, ça, on est là, après on bouge, on va aller ailleurs parce qu'on veut tout suivre.
And then we had hard to choose where to go because of it was very interesting, so we were here and we didn't know where to go after that because everything was interesting.
Peut-être pour moi, ce qu'il aurait fallu faire, peut-être, c'était de réduire les thématiques et de les décaler de sorte à ce qu'on puisse suivre toutes les thématiques.
From my perspective, maybe we could have reduced a little bit the thematic and
Les décaler les heures de passage, ne pas que ce soit les mêmes heures. Ok. C'était un peu ça. Et puis aussi, qu'est-ce que j'ai dit encore d'autre? Non, ça va. C'est du point de vue technologique, surtout pour la traduction. J'estime que l'outil qui a été choisi ne permettait pas forcément à tout le monde de suivre, notamment Webex qui avait été pris, qui n'est pas vraiment pratique pour moi. Il y a certains, surtout d'autres outils qui sont pratiques, qui sont gratuits. Et surtout, je parle de ceux qui étaient en ligne. C'était vraiment difficile pour ceux qui n'étaient pas là, qui n'arrivaient pas du tout à suivre parce qu'il n'y avait pas la possibilité de choisir le vocal en français. C'était juste l'écrit qui était très décalé et ce n'était pas du tout agréable. Oui.
there were some technical challenges with the WebEx and the transcription and for the translation for those who couldn't understand English and how to translate from French, and for those who were also remotely, like the garage between, and also the difficulty to, they had preferred to have a voice instead of reading.
En dehors de ça, voilà, ça nous a permis, la Légion Afrique, de se voir pour de vrai au-delà du virtuel.
And we
Merci.
had the opportunity all in Africa to meet. Are you on translation? Okay.
No, Sana, before you.
No, okay, she will not speak French.
We want to.
Yes.
I'll be quick. Je vais être rapide. I appreciate the learning tool from the two community days. I appreciate, j'apprécie le matériel qui a été utilisé pour les jours de communauté. I appreciate also how to define where we are, where we want to go, etc. All these methodologies about growing, in capacity and reflecting on ourselves. Et cette méthodologie, c'était surtout une réflexion sur nous-mêmes et comment est-ce qu'on veut développer le plan de capacité pour le futur. That's the essential things that I really appreciate in terms of methodology. There were so many other things, of course, but this one was essential, I think. Et c'était la chose essentielle qui m'a particulièrement retenu l'attention. About the networking, about sensitivity, cultural sensitivity, about also the feedback, the process of feedback. I also really appreciated that, and the relevance of the thématique and des conducteurs de réflexion. Et aussi la pertinence en fait des thématiques qui nous ont été dressées pour que nous puissions conduire notre réflexion en fait sur les community days. En ce qui concerne le sommet, about the summit, it was amazing. I really appreciated all the sessions we had. J'ai apprécié toutes les sessions que nous avions. Yes, Mariana, I agree with her in what of there's a multitude of thematics that was so interesting, but I missed the game. I agree with that. It's okay. And the other part, because I want to do it myself also, it's about the income. I mean, like, we spoke a lot about grassroots organizations and the fact that we need to have an equal balance between peer support and with working with, etc. And I was happy to see that most of the sessions were reflecting on that. Et sur le fait d'accompagner, de travailler avec les organisations locales, j'ai trouvé que c'était un truc que vous pouvez retrouver aussi dans plusieurs autres sessions.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I'm very grateful first. Okay, I'm very grateful for this summit for the 2 days being here. First of all, I want to appreciate, give my warm appreciation to Patrick as our coordinator in Africa. At times I used to think Patrick is born in Africa because actually he knows the African culture at times. He knows how the African reasons, their approach, and what Africans like. So Patrick, thank you so much for the great work you have been doing in Africa. So I'm very grateful because, first of all, I enrich my understanding, strengthen my capacity in some thematics we have here, like the thematics in humanitarian diplomacy, because at first I was thinking that humanitarian diplomacy is just an issue with top management, but from this summit, I realized that humanitarian diplomacy is also required for us online negotiators. And it was very enriching, and I have to know some differences between humanitarian diplomacy and frontline negotiation, diplomacy and negotiation, diplomacy and humanitarianism. So many differences I come to understand in this summit. Also, some level of networking which I got to meet some of our representative of the Red Cross in Geneva. For example, I had the opportunity to meet with the Undersecretary General of National Society here in Geneva, which we had a session where I stood up to contribute in that session, and I presented myself as coming from Cameroon Red Cross. He was very happy, and he gave me a positive feedback about my national society, that Cameroon Red Cross is doing much in Africa, especially in our country, and that is a very good feedback to our national society and to my national president. I'm going to report to her. I think that is a great applause for our national society. Thank you very much. Hello everyone. I'm not speaking too much, but I have some takeaways. The first thing I've learned there is the priorism. So where we are, where do we want to go, and the way to go to do. It's important for me for my daily work, because we have a lot of access in Nigeria. I'm working quite closely on the head of education. So it's a daily work for me, and we have to deal with a lot of stakeholders. It's difficult to negotiate with the military government. Also engage with weapon bearer in civilian protection is also our daily work, because we have all the day to engage with Islamic State, Sunni, all these groups. So it was very interesting, but it's always a dichotomy to engage for security reasons and to engage for civilian protection, so for protection of civilians. But we have to combine it. It would be better. Engage diplomacy and contextualize. Localization is a reality in our institution. We are working with the Red Cross, Nigeria Red Cross volunteers. They are local staff, they are field. Women in negotiation for me is very important. So this session with Mariama, it was very interesting to see how women talk about negotiation, humanitarian negotiation, their place. It was very interesting to see. At the end, for me, it's a kind of message of hope. Together is possible. Thank you.
Je vous dis encore bonsoir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oui, c'est Hermine, je suis du Cameroun.
It's Amina from Cameroon.
Bon, je vais d'abord commencer par remercier le CCHN. Je remercie Patrick et tout son équipe.
Many thanks to the CCHN in general and to Patrick and his team in particular.
Parce que si j'arrive ici, si j'arrive ici à Genève aujourd'hui, c'est grâce au CCHN. Et déjà facilitatrice. Je parviens à m'exprimer comme je parle là devant vous. Je vais vous le dire, c'est grâce à l'aide de beaucoup de gens du CCHL, avec l'appui de Mariama, Sana, vraiment. Donc, vraiment, je suis reconnaissante pour ça.
Thanks to Patrick and CCHN, she is today very happy to be able to speak in front of so many people, and being also facilitator with the CCHN is also very personal and professional growth for her.
Donc, en ce qui concerne le premier atelier de la communauté, j'ai beaucoup apprécié l'organisation et l'équipe qui était dynamique et enthousiaste. Parce que vous savez, quand on vient quelque part pour la première fois, même si on se voit à travers l'écran, on se demande est-ce que ça sera comme quand on pose à travers l'écran. Donc, c'est Sana qui m'a dit non, t'inquiète pas, tu vas voir après, elle est tout gentille physiquement que par rapport à quand on pose. Il traduit plus. Voilà. Okay.
I will summarize. Concerning the community days, she thought that the whole organization was very good, and the whole team, all participants were very kind, and the being together was very, very good.
Donc, pour moi, le fait d'être dynamique aussi simple, ça lève aussi un certain stress à ceux qui viennent et ça permet aussi à quelqu'un de mieux être dans l'équipe et de mieux travailler avec tout le monde.
Despite being very different, the integration was very easy into the group because everybody is open-minded.
Au niveau de la communauté, j'ai apprécié la stratégie d'organisation où il fallait que chacun donne son sujet pour débattre. Ça m'a beaucoup fait plaisir. Donc, le fait que nous avons tous choisi des sujets sur lesquels on peut débattre.
What she liked a lot during the first 2 days is that those of us who had issues to discuss with our peers were able to do so in small groups, and this exercise helped her a lot.
Et le fait de contourner aussi cette table. Et j'ai aussi apprécié le fait qu'avant la fin de la session, on avait déjà un chemin qui sortait sur le tableau là, qui regroupait un peu tout ce qu'on avait déjà fait.
It was also important for her, even before the end of the meeting, that we already had like a summary and a plan.
Donc, au niveau de la communauté, je vais dire que je ne rentre pas seulement avec les techniques de facilitation et les expériences des collègues, je rentre aussi avec la stratégie d'animation et l'organisation.
So she will return to her working place with like new impressions and new techniques learned, and this will help her a lot in the future.
En ce qui concerne le sommaire, c'était parfait. Tous les thèmes étaient vraiment appréciables comme Mariama l'a dit, on n'avait pas la possibilité de suivre tous les thèmes. C'est vrai qu'il y avait une difficulté au niveau de la traduction de la langue, mais de temps en temps, on avait aussi des participants qui étaient compréhensifs. C'est-à-dire que même si tu ne connais pas la personne, tu demandes de la traduire.
So she said actually the same as Mariama, that all the topics that were presented were interesting, and unfortunately we were not able to be in every session. However, every session she visited was very interesting for her. And even the translation, despite there were some issues, she was always finding someone who could help.
Ce qui me permet aussi de rentrer avec quelques choses aussi des différentes sessions. J'ai juste pu intervenir dans la session des femmes parce que Mariama parlait en français, donc j'ai compris intégralement. C'est là-bas que j'ai pu intervenir.
Okay, and she intervened in the session of women negotiators.
Donc, pour moi, je vais dire merci à tout le monde, merci à toute l'équipe.
Thanks to everyone. next reflections and also, what we want to work on as a region, as a priority. We should identify three recommendations that we can make to the CCHN as a region in order to improve our community, improve the practice, maybe focus on some specific countries or areas. So let's take a few minutes and and let's have two. Normally it's one, but let's have two persons to report and to announce them on the stage. One in French and one in English. Yes.
Can we start to share our feed?
You can start, yeah, sure, because we're a bit short on time, so I'm afraid that we will.
I have something that's really hi. I had two topics that to me like were really like future ones or like areas of improvement and work. And that were also inspiring topics for me. One is the work that we should avoid now. And I'm very inspired. No, I'm really inspired by that, honestly. We are speaking at INSO about fair partnerships and equal partnerships. It's just like in the idea of like, wait, we are doing partnerships basically. We have to be fair because we were thinking our partnership with some of our local partners was unfair, so we are reflecting a lot on that internally. But there is an area in this, and I think it is especially relevant in some African countries, so for this region. If you go to Ukraine, the question of like the fair partnership or the question of the localization is not an issue because there is not this very painful history of colonialism and this unbalanced relationship. That I'm seeing it in some African countries. I guess many of my African colleagues feel that much more. So that's really an area we should work on. And the other one is I was absolutely impressed by the good nature in your negotiation and in our programming. And like negotiate for nature, negotiate about nature, and negotiate and integrate nature in our programming. And there's really one thing that blew my mind is, and that will be my last answer, Patrick, is when you go states, you need to, if you are not integrating nature in your programming, you are not following the do no harm anymore. And I was the first time for me to hear that, and that's just to me like the main avenue because that's the basis of conflict, etc. So yeah, the way we translate 2 points. In short.
No, it's okay.
No, it's
Okay, thank you.
So I'll be speaking in French. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, so just a couple recommendations for the African region, particularly those in the Sahel, and also within the Chad basin. An increasing trend is currently the disregard and also the non-recognition of IHL. So I think going forward, we should be having more focused engagements around capacity building on how to engage in contexts where IHL is not being recognized. Also sharing from the experiences from people in other contexts as well who are experiencing similar situations where, of course, IHL is being disregarded. What are the best practices in terms of negotiation, also in terms of engaging with both states and non-state armed groups. And then also on the day one of the summit, the community engagement, we did use a very interesting tool, which is the 3 Horizon, which I think is also a tool that could be mainstreamed into the various CCHN processes. because it will also aid in planning for negotiation, knowing what is working, what has worked in the past, how we want the future of negotiations to be, and then what are the tools we need to implement right now to get us to the future. So I think it will also mainstream that tool beyond just these community days and the summit into the workshop itself for various CCHM trainings. I think it's also going to be quite beneficial. And then also, probably something we're already doing, which is, of course, having a strong African network where we get to share best practices, share our experiences. It's currently ongoing, but I think it's something we could also strengthen on, so we could get the best hands and the best brains sharing their knowledge so everyone can actually tap in and then build their capacity to also engage in their individual countries.
I want to clarify I have more clarification because you said two things. First, about the respect of IHL. So for me, it sounds a bit like something that we hear all the time, or non-respect of IHL. But how would you do to ensure respect, or better respect, or better understanding of humanitarian law or humanitarian values when humanitarians are operating? And you, as a government liaison officer, so how would you do that?
So at the moment, it's quite, it's becoming increasingly difficult because in the past there were no local laws to really back the argument for the government. So it was easier to just use Geneva Conventions and also pressuring the government by saying there are treaties to all these conventions, so why then would they recognize? But the government has also gone as far as legislating their own local laws. And then the argument now is local laws supersedes international conventions. So you have to comply. From our own point, what we're currently doing is trying to use diplomacy channels, talking to the various US government, the EU, UN agencies to see how we could collectively mount pressure on the government. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't, particularly in states where we have really strong governors so insist on what's one thing to allow certain practices within their jurisdiction. But at the more federal level, we're able to get successes through involving the international community to also add their voice to the advocacy.
And what do you think about having more more channels of communication directly with the officials that are involved in those negotiations? Because at times, I feel that, we may arrive and say, okay, now we are going to negotiate. This is IHL. You can start reading the book and then we can negotiate. Whereas, one of the examples that I had in Niger, what we did before the coup, obviously. So we organized a round table, right? Not a workshop, not a training. A round table with the government officials on what is humanitarian negotiation. And then they started this, they were telling us, that's what you want actually, because we never understand what you want with your IHL, with your this and that, and access, and you want to go in this area, And could it work, especially in a country that I think Nigeria has very firm positions, can have very firm positions also, and take very little influence from other countries.
Yeah, so I think it can help, particularly based on how the narrative is being framed. Because at the moment, from the side of the government, they see the situation as allowing humanitarian access in areas controlled by non-state groups is providing them with sustenance and also to make the conflict protracted, which unfortunately the conflict is already protracted. So what they see is you providing support makes it protracted. And from their own standpoint, they don't want any engagement between the humanitarian organizations and the non-militant groups because they don't want them providing legitimacy to these groups because according to the government, humanitarian organizations are in the country at their own behest, not at the behest of non-militant groups. So any engagement between
humanitarians and non-state groups gives legitimacy to these groups, and they don't want that legitimacy because they just want to face the conflict head on as a conflict, as a combat, and then regain back territories. So it's quite difficult. At the moment, a lot of actors are being engaged in the conversation. ICRC, also the UNODC as well, and UNOCT are also all in the conversation, trying to explain how best to approach the rights of people, victims of the conflict, which, like I said, in some areas we are making progress, in other areas we are not. Most recently, the US government as well has taken up interest in trying to look at the Terrorism Act, which in a way criminalizes humanitarian assistance in some of the regions. So that's an ongoing conversation. But basically, the reason why I brought up this point is just so the community will also benefit if you are engaging on the basis of IHL and it's not working. What other frameworks can the CCHN really pick from different contexts, put together, and then to work on and start to think differently about?
One thing also about being all together here at Africa region and sharing, meeting together and sharing your experience. What do you think about instead of waiting every 2 years to meet in Geneva, why you cannot meet one time, somewhere in Africa, and then really have these regional discussions really focused, and instead of meeting the ambassador of Norway, there was no Norwegian ambassador, but rather meeting the ambassador of South Africa or Kenya, who can have an influence on the process in the countries where we are, who are working. What do you think about this?
Great idea. Yes, regional summit.
Regional summit.
But the years
because I'm sure that if we would organize a regional summit, we can also invite all of these people from Dakar, Nairobi, Abuja, ECOWAS. They will come and talk to us. We can talk to them as well. But on African issues, not on.
Someone is asking if that would replace the global one.
No, we can complement it and we can
maybe one in years, 1 2 years.
Yes, 1 and 2 years. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sophie. But yeah, Juliette wanted to say something.
Thank you for the
Yes.
Yes, it's very, very short, and it's has a link with what you just said and what you very rightly saying as well. What you say is that you're deploring somehow that the AHL doesn't launch 2 other tools, like juridical tools, to help the negotiation going on. Let me tell you, because of my knowledge, it's happening that ICRC is negotiating, and when they have a problem in negotiation, I'm not from ICRC, so from an external point of view, but also from another context, ICRC, when they have an issue with like big issues to accessing some areas or criminalization of humanitarian support, or even dealing like your session was extremely interesting to this as well. The criminalization of approaching like armed group specifically in some countries. Sometimes if they cannot go any more further, they can go to external actors that have an influence on that, namely the African Commission. There's a lot of African Commission they have working groups. They are extremely active, but have helped and continue to have ICRC to reach out to victims, to reach out to people in jail, to reach out to people being victim of enforced disappearance, to negotiate also with our group. And apart from that, I would be very happy to share the list of the working groups with the persons, with key people, and also governments who are willing to support also.
I guess it's a traffic shares.
Absolutely.
Okay. What can we recommend for the region? What can we offer for propose from the region?
Maybe not really narrowed down to the region, but what I have seen in the last 3 days is emphasis on beyond the tourism. CCHN has 2 tools. Okay, it's the emphasis on soft skills to negotiate. So when I looked at the curriculum for the workshop, really speaks to soft skills is legitimacy and building trust. And that's, I think, the nice part because it doesn't have slides, it's just maybe one slide. So I think this is where we really, just to also pick up on where she left off on what he says. Sometimes when you negotiate and you like you need a break wall, you don't negotiate on the basis of the laws anymore. You negotiate as a human being, and your soft skill comes into play.
We are developing the topic is developing a new module on soft skills actually. Soft skills for negotiations. So there are two different things. There are soft skills, there is a de-escalation protocol, part of soft skills, and so on and so forth. So it's in the pipeline.
I think that was very good. And let's go to the next one. Thank you.
Yes? Any recommendation from the region?
Yeah, actually what I want to suggest is about community members meeting in each country, because like in Cameroon, we have many community members and the network is increasing so rapidly and very fast. So I want to suggest that for countries who are able and can form the association of community members in their own country, I think it will going to bring a lot of solidarity among us and make us to understand each other and then know how to build a community stronger and stronger. Thank you very much.
That's a good recommendation. What do you think about this recommendation? That at country level, you should try to meet up, and try to move together as a network.
Very good point.
En fait, je pense que c'est une bonne idée, mais il faut juste savoir les objectifs. Parce qu'il y a le Niger qui a fait la communauté, il y a le Congo qui a fait la communauté, il y a le Burkina qui a fait la communauté, mais en fait, je pense que ça marche pas vraiment, c'est bien. Il ne faudrait pas qu'en faisant aussi qu'on pense seulement pays, c'est vraiment une communauté. Ça veut dire que si je suis au Mali, si à la communauté CCHL du Mali, c'est pas des Maliens, c'est tout le monde. Mais c'est quoi notre objectif? Il ne faut pas juste faire des communautés pour faire des communautés. Il faudrait qu'on sache ce qu'on veut faire vraiment. Parce que si on commence à faire des communautés par pays, on risque de perdre le grand groupe où quand même il y a cette interaction. Donc il faut vraiment, pour moi, mûrir la réflexion, voir c'est quoi l'objectif de faire des communautés pays.
So country communities, I don't know if some of you were at the session where Abdul Manan from Bangladesh, he explained that they meet together in Cox's Bazar just for having coffee and taking the time just to speak together. And as they speak, actually, that's where the issues come, and then that's where they start to try to share it's a kind of informal coordination, informal collaboration, but as with the CCHN, which is on thread as a commonality.
I would like to have a women's being strengthened in the women. We've seen this women's session that in Africa we have organized thanks to the initiative of Mariana. And we adopted two different methodologies just to check whether what would be the best actually. And in the French-speaking Africa group, we have enlarged a little bit this space for legitimacy to install a wider dialogue to take from women what challenges and what are their struggles and what are their successes also. So this, I think, worked because we have a very nice income, good analysis of what they went through and how to overcome and tackle and find solutions, ad hoc solution and maybe much more organized solutions. So I would suggest, that's my suggestion for us, to maybe take this methodology, like strengthen it a little bit, to work on it on a working group, and to distribute it as an internal resource, not only for Africa, but also for other regions. And to make it also, of course, for English-speaking Africa, and to meet not only in the cafe or the thematic that we have that we will have once in a month, but also maybe come together with a big at the top down and all of that stuff. And reverse talk with the hierarchy, with the organizations, and so within us as community members.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this session. I will try in English. So, for me, one of my recommendations is to more focus on impact. So, every years we train a lot of persons, and so what? That is true. We have history, we have some of history that we hear. But so what is the impact of community? What is the real impact on humanitarian access in Africa? Mainly in those countries that we have some, what can I say, some crises. So it's important for us to focus on that. And one way is to make training easy, to train more persons. So I think that actually methodology and the meeting needs more cost, more money. You come and we take a place, but you are humanitarian. For example, if you want if CCHN want to make a training in Dakar, for example, there are too many organizations who have meeting rooms. You don't need, to take a place and pay for it. Also that we have also many persons who are trained who are facilitators. So only one person of CCHN can come, only supervise and make sure that we respect the standard. So in this way, we can do a lot of training, in Africa. So more people are trained, more humanitarian are ready for access. Because if I have the one person trained in my organization, it will be very difficult to get mandates or to know what is the red line, particularly for those organizations who have not sensibility of humanitarian access or something like that. So it's very important to see what strategy we can do to train more. So I can imagine that it's very difficult according to budget issue, but we have many persons here, facilitators who have capacity, and someone from CCHN can come and assure that all the standard of training is okay and follow up these details. I think that will be also a good thing. And we are humanitarian, we can support ourselves for a training room or meeting room to do all this training there. So Patrick can take one ticket, to visit all the country. Can start by Niger, and meet all the facilitators of Niger, do 1 or 2 training after Burkina Faso, after Cameroon, and yes.
Jonas, I want to say that the Africa community, I think it's the largest community of the whole CCHN, and there are many facilitators that in some countries they already started to organize themselves. Like for example, in Burkina Faso, recently, in Cameroon as well, to organize themselves the workshops with their facilitators. And it's true. That's what also I'm trying to recommend. That there are many organizations that in the country they are willing to have those training. They don't want to necessarily, they don't want to pay for a full, CCHN training. Of course, if you have a supporter, financial supporter, you can use it. I can't tell you exactly how it costs if I don't come. It's very much cheaper. It's very expensive. So that's why it's much better when you organize by yourself, and that's what we are trying to do by having facilitators training and so on.
Okay, and also to training for all humanitarian. Just an example, I was in South Africa last month, and we attended the checkpoints. And the army will come and sing and begin to talk with us, but in local language. So I don't understand local language. That it was driver to negotiate access. It was driver who has have to negotiate for access, you know, and that take more than 30 minutes discussion between him and I cannot, you know, improve or say nothing. So it's important in our trainings also for selecting person to include, you know, everyone.
Why don't we talk as the driver translates? Okay.
He has the capacity because
You have any recommendations already, so let's try to take randomly two last recommendations. I know that there was one round. Okay, I'm new, and then but what would be your recommendation?
It's a comment as well, but I also want the region to highlight the climate actions and the new humanitarian crisis as a result of the climate crisis, because I know that we already have like too much issues related onto what we call like a traditional humanitarian crisis, but on top of that, because it's really emerging issues, and then African region is one of the region or area that most affected by the climate change and climate crisis. So I'm sure that like each country also have a very innovative strategies or mandates related to this issue. And this is something we can definitely find a way to address it, like in a collective way, like an intercountry level. So yeah, so that was overall idea that like we can also maybe cope with this new emerging humanitarian issues.
So I think for me, I was kind of thinking like, because we can't wait such sessions to happen to share our story. So maybe to create a platform where we can share information and lessons learned over the months we pass through, and then when we can connect each other as well as a region, I think it would be a good opportunity for everyone.
There are some platforms that were already created. It's true that we don't use too much the CCS Connect, but at least the WhatsApp group can help also to connect. I'm very sure, you know, if you send any request in the WhatsApp group, some people will answer. I know from the French group, every time we have information about, you know, the next difficulty coming. But okay, we're a bit aware, you know, but when the access is blocked. I mean, yes, that's what we have to identify the three priorities. Okay, that's the last one. I don't know.
Good afternoon, everyone. For me, I have like two recommendations. The first one is thinking like really to have like reading graphics and different professional policies. I think the first recommendation is how to get this list. I think we can ensuring that adaptive strategies because that would be building a relationship with their stakeholders, so we can use strong partnership and relationship across. And then my second recommendation is identify three priorities around the awareness, and then partly partnership. From my reading, I think you cannot have the access, or you cannot be able to train people in advocacy awareness. The government in charge process, they are giving them. So how to focus on these priorities. I think we need to focus on these priorities. Sector is a certain sector should contribute to
What are the three recommendations that we will focus on? Regional summit. I mean, we're seeing regional summit. Do you want to have it as a priority?
Yes,
Regional summit. Second priority. Women platform. Women negotiator platform. You will reveal that.
mentioned that the workshop was lately used as a safe place for the women to exchange about what they were going through. But then we asked them whether we can report about those issues, so we can explain the planning methodology and hence comprehension, etc. So that's
maybe I'm misunderstanding the thing. I thought that what was asked is not only okay to all the recommendations, but I also thought that on the content that we share, everything that we've been talking about these 2 days is also about what we have learned and what we took among what we learned to be a recommendation on something that we will be focusing on. Not even that I take my own, but I'm very in the platform and platform all the and the negotiation itself.
It's about really the three recommendations that you want to see from the region after the 4 days discussion.
Based on the matter, I mean, negotiation.
Based on
what we are
negotiation,
working.
yeah, exactly. So one is having a regional summit in Africa, the same type of discussions there. One is to continue and strengthen the women negotiators.
But let us be frank. Could we just say that it is a priority? Which kind of impact on negotiation?
that's the type of reflection that brought us to do that.
Exactly. You see, that's why it exists, you see, because I think that they were the women negotiators need to have that space because and that's what when we organize everything is 300 applications for 30 seats. So that's why there is a need, and if it's a need that is identified by the other half of the population, one of the main populations, not.
We share it with bringing to you, so you would, for example, understand that sometimes in an emergency, you treat the subject in such a way that your colleague, who is also a collaborator, isn't taking it in the same way, and then sometimes you take the lead without, this kind of things.
Okay.
What would be the third priority?
I would say reaching out to different resources, regional resources, but not only legal, but also practices, and not only referring to global approach, because global approach sometimes we are still stuck, and this is what we have seen in 3 or 4 discussions already. Like the income of this meeting at the regional level would say, for example, I was reaching out to that head of state to support me to do that, instead of having front-to-front relationship without any arguing over whether it's HL, whether it's humanitarian, whether it's a possibility, whether it's forbidden to do things like that.
Using like regional resource support resources for negotiation. What do you think about the recommendation of Walters to say that we should strengthen the communities, the CCHN network at country level? Because you know that in Cameroon 200, in DRC, in Eastern Congo, more than 200 members, Nigeria the same, Burkina, etc. But how often do you get together? Because one day CCHN is not there. So will you lose your network of professional network, sometimes your friends also? So that's also one of the questions. So because we have to make a choice for the third priority and appoint also one person in French and one in English.
Non, pour la troisième, je pensais juste à intégrer la diplomatie dans pouvoir plus montrer aux donateurs quelle est la réalité des régions, par exemple du Sahel. Et là, ça attirera plus de finances ou de donateurs qui s'intéressent à ces conflits.
So, like I mean, you were saying to integrate the humanitarian diplomacy, to further integrate the humanitarian diplomacy with the frontline negotiation, because there is this discrepancy, and which ends up that now humanitarian needs in humanitarian operations in Africa are very overfunded. 10%, 15%, and that's after that.
I just want to add something. I think that all the ideas are very good, but have two objectives. So if we need to achieve those objectives, need to go through maybe some monitoring, some evaluation. What we are supposed to do, maybe annually, monthly, so then not sit and discuss and later on wait for another maybe meeting or any other summit or forum. We need to maybe have.
Okay, now we are going to choose the three recommendations that we will share. Yes, you will share in French. Tu vas partager en français. Who wants to share in English? I mean, you want to share in English? The three recommendations from the region. Because people are coming back now. No? Okay. Who wants to share in English? You? What else? Yes. Okay, what else? The three recommendations. So the first one will be to have more connections in Africa and then to organize a regional summit on Africa. That's the first one. Second one, second one is to, what was the second one? The strengthen the women negotiators of the and third one is to connect more with the humanitarian diplomacy, the frontline negotiations for increasing funding support.
Non, appuyez pas. C'était juste pour la parce que de l'autre côté, les gens, il y a d'autres outils en matière de créer une communauté. J'ai constaté que souvent, bon, on relève seulement ce que les succès, si c'est possible d'étudier les succès, les gens peuvent tenir comme des succès en matière d'utilisation des outils de plus ce temps. Pour faire une étude en fait, une étude et souvent faire le temps, ça va permettre à une communauté comme une nation.
Merci Diane. Women negotiator module. Women negotiator module. Third one, strengthen humanitarian diplomacy and frontline negotiation. Sana, tu veux rapporter pour en français? En français? Ok. Walters et Sana, Walters and Sana will be the reporter. Yes. Is it okay? Yes. Thank you very much. I know I have to press because they are waiting outside to enter the room. Okay. La photo, Samy, il est en photographie. Clap for everyone.
Dear colleagues and friends, I invite you to come back, grab a seat. Welcome back to everyone. I invite you to sit down. Oui, merci beaucoup. Welcome back, welcome back. Please grab a seat. It's now the opportunity to hear from you colleagues from the different regions. So I don't know if everyone already made it. I know there was intense conversations in the different groups, but I think we are all here by now. So thank you. And we will start now with first a little round of hearing back to what is this action plan you're going to bring back to your regions and your colleagues. So I think we will simply start with my colleagues from Africa. Please join me. Welcome. I leave you. Not you, exactly. Here it's okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Thank you very much. From the region of Africa. Nowadays, Africa is facing a lot of armed conflict, disaster across Africa. And it is very important that frontline negotiators in Africa put together some strategies to reinforce negotiation and create access in Africa to help vulnerable people. So here in Africa, we brainstormed and we came up with some strategies that we suggest to CCHN that can support Africa. The first is to strengthen countries in Africa by organizing regional summits in Africa so that frontline negotiators in Africa can come together in regional summits in Africa. Secondly, we want to promote women in frontline negotiation in Africa by developing more modules and organizing workshops in women in Africa so that they can be carried out frontline negotiation in Africa that can create a lot of access to help vulnerable persons. Lastly, is on humanitarian diplomacy and frontline negotiation. We want to foster or create links in African humanitarian diplomacy and frontline negotiation so that it can enhance Africa to penetrate some regions where we have disasters and armed conflict in Africa. Thank you very much.
Bon retour dans cette salle, dans cette magnifique amphi. Alors, étant donné que le groupe Afrique est un groupe en fait qui est bilingue, donc francophone et anglophone, je vais procéder à peut-être pas exactement en utilisant les termes de mon collègue, mais les trois principales recommandations que nous avons sont sensiblement les mêmes, bien sûr. Donc, dans un premier temps, nous souhaiterions renforcer, bien sûr, la communauté du groupe Afrique en proposant des opportunités d'échange et des opportunités de réflexion ensemble, plus localisées au niveau régional, avec des rencontres, une ou des rencontres, des petits sommets, qu'on appelle ça, des sommets régionaux, un sommet régional Afrique, et qui permettrait véritablement à toutes les personnes qui n'ont pas l'opportunité de venir à Genève et les personnes que nous connaissons virtuellement à travers nos espaces d'échange sur WhatsApp et les autres groupes sur CCHN Connect, de mieux échanger sur leurs dilemmes et leurs challenges. Et aussi trouver d'autres peut-être priorités. Dans un second temps, nous proposons de renforcer une initiative qui vient d'ailleurs de notre groupe, qui est celui du module qui concerne l'engagement des femmes négociatrices dans le Frontline Negotiation. Alors ce module a eu un énorme succès, il continue d'en avoir à chaque fois qu'il est proposé. Et hormis le fait que vous ne le savez sans doute pas, mais je vous le dis, que le groupe Afrique a le plus grand nombre de communautaires du CCHN, il y a aussi une grande part qui sont des femmes et qui cherchent également à avoir accès à cet espace, une safe place d'échange sur leurs challenges et de leurs opportunités, et peut-être également d'avoir des conseils des personnes plus expérimentées. Dans un troisième temps, et ce sera notre dernière proposition, c'est d'améliorer le recours systémique aux acteurs de la diplomatie humanitaire pour permettre justement d'aider, de renforcer les négociations au frontline, parce qu'on l'a vu durant ces 2 derniers jours, c'est un outil qui nous semble un petit peu parfois inaccessible, mais qui finalement l'est peut-être un petit peu plus et qui est une tendance que nous avons pu repérer durant ces échanges, durant les sessions. Voilà, ce sera tout pour moi et à tout à l'heure.
Thank you very much. By the way, we didn't translate because it was the same key points.
Exactly.
Yes. Told, right? So no one has missed anything here. Let's invite the entire community of Africa on the stage to thank them and to take a nice picture all together. Come, please, everyone.
Okay, look to me, please. Okay, now look to me, please. Okay, so now look to me, please. Okay, cheese. Cheese. Nice. And go home. Go home. Go home. Go home. Yes, and now one money. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we invite our colleagues from Asia, please. First, we will report back, and then we'll take a beautiful picture. Most welcome. Come here.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Hello, everyone. I'm Mumu from Bangladesh, working for UNHCR as a CCCM focal, camp management and camp coordination. Before attending the summit, I thought that only we are the one who have challenge with the government people for like a challenge on counterpart and other things to get the approval. But it is not only limited in Bangladesh, but also in whole world. As Balsam was saying that it is our problem is different, but we are similar actually. So I would like to thank my community member from Asia for recommend my name to represent our three recommendation. I'm gonna present 2 recommendations, then my other colleague will present 1 recommendation for you. So the first one is, of course, the localization that we have discussed last 3 days, that how we can localize our partner, our colleagues who is working for NGO and other organization, and they are the most frontliner who used to communicate with our government authorities. So in that point, because of not having the negotiation skills or negotiation training or other things, that they might refusal from our government people. So I would like to present the recommendation that is that to make their capacity building and their strengthening, focusing on strengthening things. We are planning to have make a training session for this partner and our government people as well, so that they can know that what is their gaps and how we are working with the support of CCHN and the community member. And our second point is that is women empowership. Already our colleagues from Africa, Asia, Africa region, he already mentioned that is, so that was also recommended by our community people, that if we can make the access for women, so that and build their capacity for not only the negotiation and other as well, so that they can more powerfully participate in any of situation and any other area. So thank you so much. I would like to hand over to my other colleague, Amir Khan. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Amir Khan Akmal. I am from Afghanistan. So the points which we discussed by our Asian group, there were a lot of recommendations, but we were just bound to come with minimum 2 or 3 recommendations. 2 were just discussed. I would only explain 1 recommendation, what we would recommend in future on Asian level, that we would recommend on-site humanitarian workshop on annual basis, and as well as online session to be conducted on quarter-wise, on regional base, so that we could just establish an Asian community in time to time on quarter-wise. We would be able to discuss our constants in each other and would be able to get update from each other. And more importantly, we can stay connected even if there is sometimes not support of CCHN, even on Asian level facilitators or negotiator can support each other. So, but we would recommend that this initiative should be just started by CCHN, and this was before. We were just doing, but we would recommend that just to increase all the negotiators should just make a strong commitment, so that we could just establish this network of coordination. The more we coordinate, the more we would be able to resolve our constraints on time. Thanks for the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, all our colleagues from Asia, join us on the stage. Thank you. Come. Please. Welcome.
Okay, so come together. Please again, come closer to me, closer to me, closer to me, closer to me, and get closer together, please. Get closer on the side and get one step more in this direction. Everyone get closer to me.
Closer, follow me, come here.
Yes, yes, hello. Yes, come on, here, here, okay, and now get closer to me, please. Yes, okay, that's good. Okay, so,
We're missing out.
yes, yes, in the second row. Yes, exactly, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, so,
Go big.
okay, now, yeah, now you can really be outside. Exactly, trying to go to the second row. Yes, exactly. Close it, yes. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. Okay, now look to me, please. Yes, nice. Okay. Yes, so when I take the normal one. Okay, now go. Go. No, that's fine.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Let's continue. We have our colleagues now from Europe. And first we start with the recap. Please.
Hello, my name is Karina. I work for IOM Ukraine based in Kiev. And before I start, I wanted to say that while working on this task, we were divided into small groups and got very competitive on decision making on the key points. So we had elections to vote for the main three topics that I'm gonna represent and my colleague will add. So the first key point is on humanitarian diplomacy, how to find common ground and exact understanding on what humanitarian diplomacy is and how it is represented and how to operate it to reach perfect outcome, not only in Europe, but maybe in the whole world. The second point is women leadership, which has already been mentioned by the previous group, but still we already have women at the negotiation tables on local level and sometimes on regional levels. But how would you bring women to the state level of not only negotiating, but decision making and empowering their role in the negotiations?
Yes, and to add to that, we would like to focus on immigration and all migration laws in Europe. We would like to find a space to support civil society organizations who are working within the European laws. And this is something very important for us to negotiate and to find ways, develop tools and do research to understand better where is our place to negotiate with these strong states and strong laws against or with immigration. And because we really hate teams and we really like to think collectively in person, we have decided to conduct a regional meeting in Europe for Europe to decide on the other regional meetings in Europe for Europe team to work on all of these things and beyond that. So this is what we agreed on. Thank you.
Join us. All our colleagues, please, from Europe.
Do you want more details?
I think we'll need to squeeze.
Quarter one.
It's a Ukraine group, huh? It should be more diverse, but everyone buying to the
as far away from the middle as possible.
Good. Yes. So now look to me, please. Yes. Nice. Okay. Yes. Beautiful. Yes. Stéphanie, je te vois pas vraiment. Ça marche. Okay, nice. Okay, ho ho. Nice. Thank you.
Why did you mention Istanbul?
And next will be our colleagues from Latin America and the Caribbean.
There is some noise there. There must be some Latin Americans present. Okay. Colleagues, we had a very nice discussion and we concluded that we need to develop better positioning of the humanitarian negotiation issues at the strategic level of the organizations in our region, because we discovered that most of us struggle a lot to be able to work around humanitarian negotiations. In some cases, our high managers don't understand very well and don't support very much the task. So this is one thing that we need to develop. And we need to strengthen the visibility of the region here, exactly here at the CHN. We are not ignoring the big tragedies that other regions are living. And we know and are very proud that we don't have so big problems as the killing of humanitarian workers. Fortunately, so far we don't have this tragedy, but we have other big tragedies. For example, migration. Millions of people are having now a great suffering, and this is a crisis that we don't see as often, and we don't see as powerful as the crisis in Ukraine, in Gaza. All of them are great crises, but we feel that the crises in our region are not seen in the same way. So we have to strengthen the visibility. We are proposing to do regional meetings too, to accelerate the developments. And yes, we're going to welcome our European colleagues too. And not only European, from all the world. But no, we're doing a great job in the training of humanitarian negotiation workers, but we believe that the regional meetings will accelerate the process. We can do better in the coordination of the community of practice. This community is growing very fast, so it will demand more activities and more things that bring the interest of the people, not to lose them. And we're thinking about the development of a regional negotiation team to support the colleagues when they have to face the crisis that we'll have to face in our work. Did I forget something? No, it's okay. It's okay.
All colleagues, please join us. Latin America, Caribbeans on the stage.
La música caliente. Colombia.
No, I was just. Ah, yes.
Okay, so come together, please. Plus intérieur, parce que tu es au blanc, plus intérieur. Vous pouvez changer dans la bonne Okay, that looks good. Okay, show me your face, please. Yes. Okay. Okay, I can't see your face. Come closer to me. Yes. Now come closer. Doesn't make sense to take a photo when you're Okay. Look to me. Not yet. No, go one step inside. Yes, one step inside. Yes. Okay, so look to me, please. Yes, perfect. Okay, and go.
All right, and of course, last but not least, our colleagues from the Middle East. Please. Balsam, welcome.
Hi, colleagues. Last but not least, and we always save the last for the better for the end, right? Yes. Hey. Yeah, so we had a lot of discussions, a lot of topics were brought to the table and into the discussions with all of our colleagues. And one of the three conclusions that we set agreement on, our island of agreement, was one, sharing. So basically sharing, but not, we always say sharing, but sharing from the heart and reaching out, asking for a new set of lenses. If you don't see through this microscope, look into another lens and try to see what other people are doing, what are their experiences, what are they facing, what are their challenges, and not just formally, informally too. So that's one of the outcomes. Don't stay stuck, reach out, see where you can contribute and utilize. Utilize the family that you have, utilize the community that you have to share and engage. The second point is a topic that I noticed that was in all of the regions, humanitarian diplomacy. It was mentioned in all of the regions. So on this topic, we focused more on finding more room and more space to meet and share, but not just to meet and share, but to actually give concrete requests, like something concrete, direct asks, and engaging with on a diplomatic level or on a more diplomacy level for a clear road and a clear path for developing a toolbox for humanitarian diplomacy that can serve in favor of humanitarian negotiators. The last point we discussed is a super big question that we didn't have an answer for. So we wanted to leave it as an open question to summarize this, summit. What's next? So how do we shape CCHN's future? So our third point was about CCHN itself as a community and as a forum. How do we shape it for the future? What can we bring from our regions to CCHN? What can we take from CCHN back to our regions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Balsam. And please, all colleagues from the Middle East, join us. Don't be shy. Woo!
And the smaller people, please get
There's someone here who cannot see.
Okay, that looks good. Okay, so everyone looks into the camera, please. Hello, you can talk later. So look to me, everyone looks to me, please. The whole face. Are you ready? Okay. Look into the camera, okay. Now, oh. Okay, so you want a funny one? Okay, 3, 2, 1, and funny.
Stay! Donkeys, selfie from this side.
No, it's
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Of course, we'll be sharing those beautiful pictures with you. If we can sit down for the last minutes. We still have time for pictures. Please, Moussa, have a seat. Well, we are arriving to the closing of this summit, and it's my pleasure to thank everyone here. I would like, of course, to start by thanking all of you here in the room, especially our frontline negotiator colleagues. You've heard it throughout the week. Many people from the outside world who have been joining us have mentioned how much you are a source of inspiration. I hope you have heard it. I hope you have seen it, you have felt it, and you will take it back with you. Also want to thank all the states who have been joining the summit. Extremely important to also have you in the room. A special thank you for the hosts of this year's summit, Germany and Switzerland, and the rest of the donors who are investing into this community of practice and making all of that possible. Of course, also we have to think about the founding organization of this initiative who have been creating the thinking behind it and still are supporting us. I want also to thank the strategic partners of the CCHN that you all know, WFP, UNHCR, ICRC, and MSF. And of course, also a word to thank our board members who have all joined throughout this week, the different events who are there to guide and support on the development of where the CCHN should go. None of this would have been possible without you. I think a lot of you said it, Balsam, in very nice words too. At the end, we need you as the CCHN, because this is about really a community of practice, right? We heard a lot this week that it's challenging times. We feel it, we recognize it, but let's invest into what we have. And I think what we see, what we have is each other, it's us, right? So what can we do together? You came here, of course, there's plenty more colleagues around the world who are not here this week. So now we have a responsibility to bring it back to a region. That was also very much the purpose of this afternoon. You are leaving with an action plan. You are the agent of this action plan as being a core member of this community of practice. Also, how are we going to bring the knowledge, the experience that was shared this week to our colleagues in the field? As you know, us as CCHN, we are very committed to continue that dialogue. I see there was many ideas about many summits and conferences throughout the world. We're looking forward to your involvement into that, and we'll have to see how to make that happen. But the point being that this event is part of something, of course, much bigger, and what we need is continuous dialogue and engagement throughout the year in all the different places we work with. We are of course committed. I'm looking at my amazing team here who is doing all of that throughout the year, of coming back to you, enabling this exchange, enabling this dialogue, and enabling all the knowledge and richness that comes out of it. So I think I will leave it here. I hope that you are leaving this room and this week with a sense of purpose and a sense of hope. That's at least how I feel. And of course, I have to thank my team, who has done an amazing job throughout the year, but especially to bring this event together. So I think they also deserve a really big round of applause. And I would like to invite them all on the stage. CC Action team, please, don't be shy. Come. Everyone, please. We start again.
Red hair. We have close up. You can say.
Thank you. Voilà, thank you very much to everyone. This is the end of this beautiful week together. We wish you all a very, very safe trip back. Thank you, Ina. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Safe trip back. A big thank you also to Bav, who I realized didn't come on the stage. Bav, stand up. Voila, that's it. Now you can take all the pictures you want, and safe trip back to everyone. Looking forward to seeing you again in person and online. Thank you.